Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Switch Statement Podcast. It's a podcast for investigations into miscellaneous tech topics.
This is our 10th episode on Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson. We'd love to hear from you. Send your comments and feedback to team@thkp.co.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Hey, Matt, I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing okay. Getting back into law school after the summer. All of my reading ability has thoroughly atrophied over the summer.
Nice.
It's
Well,
okay.
better bring it back. You're going to have to be doing a lot of reading.
Oh my God, dude. It's no joke. But today we're reading about Elon Musk and his open loop warning. I feel like I'm not even sure if I read this chapter closely enough to know exactly where open loop.
That's the first thing I was going to ask you. I have no idea what is meant by open loop warning.
Because it feels like it just came out of nowhere where they refer to it in the chapter, but it's just something that like Kimball says to, okay, open loop warning.
What does that mean?
Oh, okay. Musk's friends began referring to his crises as his going open loop, the term used for an object such as a bullet as opposed to a guided missile that has no feedback mechanism to provide it with guidance.
Oh, okay. Really glad you found that. I mean, this whole time I had no idea what open loop warning meant, but it's a good name for this chapter because I feel like these are the moments where it legit seems like Elon is crazy. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
And this was the first moment where I personally started to dislike Elon Musk.
Yeah.
This chapter starts off with a discussion of, this situation in Thailand where these young kids who were on a soccer team went into a cave and then the cave flooded. It's a horrible situation. These divers who were local to the area, I think they were English divers, but there was a lot of good diving in Thailand, so they spent a lot of time there. They were trying to help. Mm-hmm. Elon was also trying to help, to his credit.
Yeah, he got some random tweet from, I guess, someone in Thailand and was like, hey, can you help us? And then he basically is like, all right, let's design some submarine.
Which he built this submarine. I mean, he actually had, Tesla engineers come together, on a weekend or something.
Elon Musk flew to Thailand.
Yeah, so I do want to give Elon some credit. Like, I think he was genuinely trying to help the situation. But the issue came up when, these divers saw this submarine and they were like, that's not going to work. Like, they could immediately tell, like, this is useless.
It was already done, right? Like, they already had rescued them by the time he got there, I think.
Well, had they seen the idea for the submarine? Because I did want to mention there's a great film about this situation. I can't remember what the movie's called, but it's a Ron Howard film. Just a really good depiction of this situation. And I think that this submarine would have just not worked. Like, there's just zero chance that this submarine would have worked. And so I'm wondering if this was a situation where the divers saw that Elon was planning this, and they were like, you might as well not do this. Like, it's just not going to help.
Yeah.
And that's what Elon got upset about. But anyway, long story short, they have this sort of Twitter tiff.
Yeah.
And Elon calls this guy a pedophile.
Yeah.
This is one of the divers that's like trying to save these poor kids who are caught in a cave. And Elon is calling this guy a pedophile on no grounds.
Yeah, this guy, Vernon Unsworth. And this is the thing, like, Vernon Unsworth does make some unnecessarily critical...
He was being a dick.
It's like, okay, here you have Elon Musk who... He's doing what he knows. He knows engineering. So He's trying to build a submarine. But then he said, oh, this is just a PR stunt and had absolutely no chance of working. He can stick his submarine where it hurts. And it's like, dude, why are you being so aggro about this? Anyone else would have been like, I don't have fucking time to do any of this stuff.
And this is often left out of the story, too.
Yeah.
Where it's like Unsworth was being a total asshole.
Then Musk obviously just ratchets it up to 11.
Yeah.
And calls him a pedo out of nowhere.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, I do agree. Well, and obviously, I don't know anything about the situation. I literally watched a Ron Howard film, so I know nothing. But I think Unsworth was probably right. I don't think he was right about it being a PR stunt. I think Elon was genuinely trying to help. But I think he was probably right that what Elon was doing was not going to help.
No, and I think that's fair. I mean, frankly, I don't know enough to know whether or not it would have helped. Sometimes I think Elon does have these naive ideas about like, oh, well, working from first principles, we should just be able to do X. And then for some important reason, X doesn't really work.
Yeah.
So,
but in any case, it's a tough situation, but Elon behaved inappropriately. And this is the part where there's this theory that Elon's downward spiral is because of Amber Heard. And there's like a little bit of confirmation in this chapter because, and we discussed some of the Amber Heard insanity in a previous chapter, but I guess people close to him, had talked about how much Amber Heard sort of caused his life to be chaotic and, high emotion, I guess. But the other situation that is sort of evidence of him being crazy is this Twitter storm where he was talking about taking Tesla private with the Saudis. Mm-hmm. And he talks about 420 being a good price, which is a reference to marijuana.
Yeah.
It's this series of tweets that were just like completely crazy. The SEC immediately starts investigating him, and he eventually has to admit fault with the SEC because they were accusing him of manipulating the price with these tweets, which I think is fair. He's the CEO of a company and he's talking about taking it private. It's completely ridiculous. But yeah, so he's spiraling.
Yeah, definitely spiraling. And like, I don't know, he's seemingly been able to just tweet these inflammatory things with impunity for a very long time. And now he's the CEO of this enormous company. It has ramifications,
This is interesting too, because I feel like tweeting insane stuff has been like totally normalized. It is now 2025. Like this was 2016 when some of this stuff happened. I honestly believe that tweeting insane stuff in 2016 was a big deal. And today, I think he could tweet this stuff and no one would bat an eye.
Yeah, I mean, now it's foreign policy is done on Twitter or Truth Social.
So anyway, just a testament to how much times have changed. But
so in order to fix his damaged brand, he goes on Joe Rogan, right?
Yeah,
that's how it works?
That's how you fix your damaged brand. You go on Joe Rogan. Walter Isaacson refers to Joe Rogan as, or I don't know if he called him smart, but he said something along the lines of like, his podcast is intelligent or something.
Sharp-witted pundit.
Yeah, that I was like, is Joe Rogan sharp-witted? Like, is that what he's known for? But anyway, yeah, he goes on Joe Rogan. They talk about, his career and stuff. And then they bust out a massive spliff.
Yeah.
And, Joe Rogan is like, you don't have to smoke this. But Elon's like, give me that spliff. And yeah, he smokes this massive blunt. And there's this famous photograph of Elon smoking this blunt, and he's kind of in this haze of marijuana smoke. And it's just one of those completely surreal moments of modern history.
Yeah, but this was super serious because SpaceX is one of NASA's most important contractors. Mm-hmm. And they have serious drug policies. And you have the CEO of the company smoking marijuana on camera. And so apparently, like, shit started to get real in terms of random drug tests at SpaceX after that. The American government was not taking it so lightly.
Yeah, it also really hurt the stock price of Tesla. Another moment, he played with a Boring Company flamethrower with Joe Rogan, which I vaguely remember this being a thing. Boring Company came out with this flamethrower for some unknown reason. And they sold out like immediately. They actually made like tens of millions of dollars off of this.
Yeah, but yeah, they actually sold it.
Yeah, I mean, that was like, I think the most successful thing Boring Company ever did.
Yeah, they paid for those enormous excavators.
Yeah, I don't know. Drilling car. But yeah, they launched a red roadster into space, which I don't know where this thing is now.
They weren't firing it in the direction of Mars?
I think the idea was it was going to circle around Mars and then maybe fall into the sun.
There's probably some website that tracks it. You can probably see a live feed of where it is in space. I was just going to say we have one of the scariest chapters or sections of my life called Kimball Rupture.
Yeah.
Was this what you were going to talk about?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. No, and I like how you framed this because I completely agree. Like throughout this whole book, Kimball, to me at least, is like the one even keel. He's like the one guy you can sort of depend on to be like, oh, that was a reasonable decision. Like in this cloud of complete insanity, Kimball often stands up and is like, let's do this. Like everything's okay. Let's just make a reasonable decision here. And yeah, so seeing this Kimball Rupture thing, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I was very worried because it's like he just chews through all of his close personal relationships like they're nothing. So I was like, yeah, I mean, there's no reason to believe that his relationship with Kimball is immune to those sorts of problems. But just to set the stage, Kimball and Elon are talking. Kimball is like, I need $10 million for my restaurant business. And Elon agreed. And then I guess Elon's finance guy took a look at it and was like, that business is not sustainable. You shouldn't invest in it. And then Elon trusted his finance guy and said, I had my finance guy look at it and the restaurants are struggling. Mm-hmm. I think they should die.
God. Yeah, he definitely has problems. Because, and this is even more insane because Kimball had helped him financially with his own personal finances on several occasions. Remember him selling that Apple stock?
Yes, I just edited that episode where he's like, oh, Kimball, like you got to sell $300,000 of your... And this was way back. Like this was early on.
Yeah, that might have like really 10x'd by now or 100x.
42x'd. You did the math.
Okay, good. Well, anyway, Elon owes Kimball, and yeah, for Elon to sort of treat him this way really annoyed me. But I guess they did sort of get over this eventually. Like they're back to being good buddies.
Yeah, I think so. Because eventually Elon did wind up putting $5 million into the business. Kimball kind of reached back out, wanted to mend fences, and so apparently Elon just responded like nothing had ever happened.
God. Yeah. So then this chapter sort of closes with a discussion of losing key people. I guess with all this insanity, people got less interested in being close to Musk. And one of the main people they mention is J.B. Straubel, who is one of the founders of Tesla. He had sort of been there the whole time. I mean, we've discussed Straubel a million times. He's been played a pivotal role in all of this.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, he decided to leave. So there's consequences when you act like a crazy person.
Yeah. And I mean, this was something that we talked about in that episode that just, this was episode 6, I think, of this series. He just really has very few people who he has these long-term relationships with. Mm-hmm. I think it comes at a cost when you're doing these incredibly difficult things and you want to do them on these impossible timelines.
I think that this should be more of a red flag to people. If people go their whole life and they've never had a long-term collaborator, or maybe they've had collaborators but they've sort of burned all those bridges, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Look at Donald Trump. He literally has no close collaborators that he's had his whole career. And anyone who has been a close collaborator with him now hates his guts.
Right.
That is a massive, massive red flag. And I think people don't realize that. They don't think about that when they're considering someone's character.
Yeah. No, and it's funny because it's the kind of thing where it's an objective thing you can look at from the outside, right? Yeah. It's like these people had a close relationship. They said good things about each other. And then you go to the next Trump administration and it's a completely different set of people. And he's just throwing all of those people under the bus. They hate his guts now. And it's like, well, I don't know the specifics of what went down, but that's not a good sign.
Exactly. So I think people need to look more at this sort of thing because I think people around you's opinion of you is far more important than what you say about yourself. We have another chapter about a love interest, Grimes. This is probably the main one that most people are aware of. I had only heard of Justine like years after hearing of Elon. And then I didn't even know that Amber Heard had hooked up with Elon, like until I read this book.
I only knew her from everything with Johnny Depp, and I had never heard that she had any fling with Musk.
But anyway, they sort of have this interesting meeting. I guess Elon quizzed her about Lord of the Rings, which is insane, but she passed. And then she later gave Elon animal bones. So, I don't know, they seem kind of simpatico. I mentioned this Azalea Banks situation. This is like so funny to me. There's these certain situations where it just feels like a bunch of crazy people doing crazy things. And this Azalea Banks situation is like the perfect example where I guess Grimes had invited Azalea over to like do recording at Elon's mansion, but she had forgotten that they had plans. So like Azalea arrives and they leave. And like Azalea is like alone in Elon's mansion. And she just starts tweeting all this like crazy stuff. And I didn't write any of it down. But yeah, so I guess Azalea was being very critical of Grimes and Elon because she was trapped in his mansion.
She couldn't even leave?
That's the story, is that she couldn't figure out how to leave. But I don't know. I mean, Azalea Banks is legitimately crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what happened. But the Twitter posts were pretty salacious.
They talk a little bit about Grimes and how she is kind of like Amber Heard in that she loves chaos, but then there's an undercurrent of like sweetness, I guess, or kindness, whereas there's maybe like evil that undergirds Amber Heard's chaos.
It seems like Grimes is better for Elon. Grimes also mentions that Elon does have multiple personalities. So I think Grimes understands who Elon is more than Amber Heard did.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we move on. This next chapter is a short chapter. They discuss this guy named Ren, who's old friends with Elon. And Elon was trying to create deals with China. He was trying to get, production up and running in China and trying to sell cars in China.
Yeah.
And this Ren dude is a Chinese person, so I think Elon suspects that Ren probably has a better ability to deal with China than he would. And he also has this team who's trying to set up shop in China, and they're like completely dropping the ball. So I guess Ren put together this plan for how Tesla could move into China and start doing dealings. And he tries to get Elon to look at it, but Elon is just so busy that he barely looks at it. He looks at it for like 2 seconds. And Elon just says, "Do you think this is the right plan?" And Ren is like, "Yeah, I guess so." And so Elon's like, "Let's do it." So basically, without even looking at this plan, Elon agrees to Ren's plan for like how to operate in China. Mm-hmm. And I guess it turns out good because now more than half of Teslas are made in China.
Yeah, I think they're the biggest market for Tesla, but things have really ramped up in China, is my understanding, over the last, like the EV market in China is fierce.
Yes. Yeah, and there are companies like BYD is a big one who have cars that are almost as good as Tesla cars, or better even, and way less expensive.
Yeah.
So, like you're saying, things have sort of changed in China. I don't think people are buying Teslas as much anymore because there's better options.
Yeah.
And then we get to the Cybertruck. So, and this is an interesting episode in the Tesla story because my opinion, and I could obviously be wrong, I think the Cybertruck would have actually done well if Elon still had a good reputation. Elon had this Tony Stark reputation.
Yeah.
And he ruined his reputation in the last few years. And it was around the same time the Cybertruck finally launched. And I do think that if he had maintained that reputation, then it would have been looked at more favorably.
Yeah, it's just so weird because if he had just remained politically neutral, which is how I imagined him for a very long time.
Yeah.
it's weird because you have liberals who like the environment and are in support of electric cars. And then you have conservatives who are skeptical of new things in general. And it's like, so they're not really, they are skeptical of electric vehicles. So they are not natural supporters of Elon and Tesla. And then you alienate the group of people that were already your supporters. And then, so yeah, he kind of wound up with like no one really to support him.
Yeah. So, but this chapter, wasn't really about that. It was about sort of the original conception of the Cybertruck, I guess, and how they are choosing materials. They wanted a truck that was different, or Elon did, and he was kind of fighting against his own people with this. They eventually landed on stainless steel, which is a really interesting material to build a car out of, because the stainless steel frame itself becomes like the load-bearing structure of the car, as opposed to like having a chassis where you basically have this bottom of the car, which you can kind of build this lightweight, carbon fiber thing on top of. And it was interesting that the book mentioned this. Basically, the way the Cybertruck works is you have the exoskeleton of the car, and everything just hangs from the exoskeleton because it's the thing that supports the car.
Yeah. But that confuses me because I thought that some of those panels were like falling off because there was glue.
Yeah. Well, I think there's like a frame, which is probably like a part of the exterior. And then there's additional stainless steel panels, that are kind of glued in.
So the visible stainless steel is like a veneer?
I think some of it is the exoskeleton.
I see.
And I don't know. I'm just kind of making this up, but that's sort of my understanding because I've heard the same thing, like the stainless steel panels falling off, and those clearly aren't part of the exoskeleton.
One point I want to call out, I don't know if you have the book open, but there's this picture of Musk with von Holzhausen, and there's a bunch of really cool looking models of futuristic looking trucks, any of which would have been superior to the design they wound up with.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ideas here. But I guess Elon wanted something more boxcular.
Yeah, just super angular.
But so they, he's basically fighting against everyone at the company. There's a point where he says, "Don't resist me." He's telling everyone that he wants this utterly radical thing. His son says something along the lines of, "Why doesn't the future look like the future?" Which I think is a good quote. And Elon repeats this to his people. They eventually decide on the design for the Cybertruck, and they put together a prototype in like 3 months. And this is yet another insane Musk deadline, but his people figure it out. When they go to reveal it on stage at this Tesla event, it really doesn't go well. And I remember this pretty vividly. There's a sequence where, and was it Holzhausen who had the sledgehammer?
I guess it was Holzhausen who threw the ball and had the sledgehammer.
Yeah, so there's this point where they're trying to demonstrate, like, oh, you'll be so safe in this car. It's like bulletproof or whatever. And so this dude throws a ball at the body and it doesn't dent. But then he hits the window with the hammer and the window just shatters.
Yeah.
Elon says something hilarious. He said something along the lines of like, "Oh, fuck," or something.
Yeah.
So anyway, the reveal does not go that well. Tesla stock drops. And then to cap it all off, Elon drives the thing off stage, picks up Grimes, takes her to a restaurant. But then when he's leaving the restaurant, he runs over a traffic cone and turns left in a no left turn thing, which I just thought was such a funny... I can literally hear the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song playing. It's so perfect.
So, but this is what he wanted. He wanted to revolutionize trucks, which have been the same for like 100 years, he says. I guess even though the stock was dropping, he was happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's all that matters.
All that matters is that Elon Musk is happy, which apparently he's completely unable to do.
Just listen to Kimball, Elon. Just listen to Kimball.
Be a closed loop.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I will see you next time for chapter 52. Talking about Starlink.
Nice. See you next time, Matt.